Warning. This podcast may contain content and language that is not suitable for children. Listener discretion is advised.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Nate and
Cody.
at Tuddies and Buddies about to talk about some NFC and AFC teams.
So this is what, our first part of a 2-episode series?
Absolutely.
Ooh, so what are we going to be talking about exactly?
So we're going to take a little look at each NFC and AFC team and see what needs they're going to have to address in this offseason.
So the way I went about getting my notes together was primarily I looked at teams that need something specifically.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I came up with a couple ideas in my head of who could kind of figure that and fit that position, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So, where do you want to start? You want to start with the East, West, South, North?
Let's start with the NFC and NFC North. Let's go with the NFC North.
Alright, sounds good. So, starting it off, I have the Packers. And I'm starting this shit off with a hot take. You guys know me, I like to spew my shit. Packers need a quarterback. That is the biggest position they need to fill, besides safety.
Wide receiver. Well, they need a wide receiver, guys. Not a quarterback.
Who's going to get the ball to a wide receiver?
Jordan Love.
You're funny.
Hey, Jordan Love's a first-round draft pick. It's been developed. Quarterback is not a need this year. If he underperforms or does, I don't know, a Sam Darnold dumb shit, yeah, you'll look at quarterback the following year. Also, because next year has a way better QB class. So, It's their play. And then it depends on how they feel about this year's quarterback class. Because they sit in that really awkward spot in the teens. And either got to move up to get somebody you really like, use a lot of draft capital, or you got to sit back and wait for somebody who's going to take years to develop anyways.
Well, something that I found I've seen a lot of people having the Texans trading with the Bears.
I do believe the Texans will trade with the Bears, or the Bears are going to trade with the Colts, depending on quarterback favorites.
Well, so from what I'm hearing, the Colts special team special team coordinator is looking at heading over to Cleveland because we just fired our special teams coordinator today. So we'll see. I don't know. I think the Colts are looking to go into a reset.
Yeah, I mean, any team in that top 5 should be in a reset. But like I said, the Packers probably going to need to get a wide receiver. Jordan Love's going to need a lot of help. Kristen Watson. Who else is on the Packers wide receiving core? I don't know. That you need to get
Randall
him.
Cobb.
Yeah, so you need to get him with somebody because they're in that spot where the number 1 wide receiver on their board will most likely be there for them, in Quentin Johnson or the wide receiver out of USC.
I don't know.
I
the
don't
only person
remember.
on USC I know is what's his face? The quarterback with the noodle arm.
There's a quarterback.
Or I'm thinking Stanford.
Yeah, you're thinking of Tanner McKee or whatever.
Yeah.
But get a wide receiver. Quentin Johnson is a prototypical number 1 wide receiver. Big size, athleticism, catch radius. If you don't like him, the wide receiver out of USC is maybe not a number 1 wide receiver, but he can be a real great number 2 option, as well as you do have a couple under-the-radar guys in free agency that they could pick up as well.
All right, let's move to their rivals, the Bears.
Everything. Done. Everything.
Okay, let's be a little more specific.
Quarterback, offensive line.
Give Justin Fields another year. Give him some weapons.
So, all right. So, if we're gonna say that, wide receiver would be a great option to look at, or a tight end. Give him a receiving threat. I mean, not draft-wise, they probably won't get anybody in the first round, second round. Maybe there's a wide receiver they might have their eye on, like Nathaniel Tank Dell out of Houston might be a good option to be that like slot gadget player. They might look at tight end. I mean, second round, there's 3-4 good tight end that they can get in the draft. So weapons would be a good option to get for the Bears if they actually believe in Justin Fields.
So, personally, I think the Bears might actually go off the train, and since if they do trade back to the number 2 spot, I think they might actually take Paris. What's his face?
Paris Johnson.
Yeah, Paris Johnson.
That would be
because I'm pretty sure they have full faith in Justin.
okay.
So if they have full faith in Justin, the biggest thing, their biggest problem this year was he was under pressure every single snap. Let's get him some offensive linemen. So I personally see them going for like a right tackle or a left tackle, someone to keep the edge clear so he can get out and escape the pocket, which Justin Fields is very good at.
Absolutely. I mean, offensive line free agency wise is actually pretty good. I mean, you have Orlando Brown, who's a good swing tackle that they have $60 million in cap. They can probably sign him, get that tackle situation figured out, and still get some weapons for him in the draft.
I don't think that they're gonna try to draft weapons. I think they're gonna try to sign Jacoby Myers from the Patriots because he's in free agency. I feel like they might try to trade for someone else. They do have the draft. They do have the cap space for signing plenty of people, especially to 1-year deals, to at least see and start to build their identity as a team. So moving over to the other side, you want to talk about Lions or Vikings?
The Lions is a really intriguing team for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the cusp of being a really good team, and they could actually take control of the NFC North. That coming out of my mouth, that sounds like a really hot take. I'm going to say that.
I don't disagree with you.
Because who's really going to compete with them that's a known team? The Vikings. The Vikings are the fakest playoff team I saw this year was the Vikings.
They've been the fakest playoff team for like 5-6 years.
Yeah, see, so I feel the Lions with some good additions, maybe to the offensive line, maybe to that defensive line, or even corner. Those are like the 3 spots I would say that they would really like to add to, and that could jump them up to that next level. Because if any of y'all looked at my mock draft, I had Witherspoon from Illinois going to the Lions, because their corners are not great right now. Jeff Okuda is not very good. Amari, God, I'm going to fuck his last name up, but I think he plays safety right now, but he's drafted as a corner. Corner is probably my number 1. If I'm going to go with the number 2, I would go with offensive tackle.
Yeah.
So, because I believe it's Dan Campbell is their head coach.
Yeah.
He was an offensive line coach, linebacker coach. He believes in that tough, gritty type of team. So he's going to be like, give me an offensive lineman, give me defensive lineman, let's fuck some days up.
Well, they have Jamal, what's-his-face?
Jamal Williams at running back?
They have Jamal Williams,
and
they have
DeAndre
Amon-Ross St. Brown, and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, so weapons are good. Jared Goff is like the only real question mark on that team.
I don't even think it's a real question mark. I think if you add some, if you beef up your offensive line, I think he'll do wonderful there. Like, look at what he did with the Rams. Like, he had a good offensive line, and he was what, second in the league in passing yards the year they played in the Super Bowl?
Or even this year was a good example of Jared Goff. He wasn't in the greatest system, but he found his weapons. He was given time. He's a serviceable quarterback, which is all you really need for the Lions, because they have a defense that can play, weapons on the outside, and St. Brown and DeAndre Swift, like, really beef up the lines, get a little secondary help.
Personally, I want to see them get a defensive tackle or a D lineman to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, see, when I was doing my mock draft, that was one of the things I was thinking about. Not for their first pick in the first round, but their second pick at like 18 or something. Mm-hmm. I was really debating on what I wanted there. But looking at the talent, I wasn't sure if that would have been a great option at that point. Because once you get past Jalen Carter, everybody else, at least interior defensive-wise, is more like a one-trick pony or undersized. So it's really, what did they want? Because I wanted Brian Brees to go to the Lions, but he has injury history. Shows kind of the lack of like a tool set pass rush-wise. He can bull rush. He can get some pressure, but it's like, I'm not sure if that's what you want out of him. And, if he gets injured, your first-round pick's gone.
Well, I mean, I could see them taking him and then his rookie season using him as like a third down, fourth down.
Yeah, because
situational tackle.
He's versatile. He can play that inside nose tackle. Wouldn't recommend it, but he can do it. 3 tech or 5 tech, or even play out wide. I wouldn't say like a wide 9 outside linebacker role, but anything right over the tackle and in, he can play that, and he'll do a great job at that.
Yeah, and I really like the way that Brian Brees just like he's explosive. You know that.
For his size he's very explosive. But if you want explosive, the D tackle out of Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
I would almost want to say like a mini Aaron Donald.
Oh, no.
With like lack of athleticism.
But he's like really small, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like 6'3", 280. So he's not the prototypical defensive tackle size. You'd be playing him more as an edge threat that hopefully can gain weight in the offseason to be able to push him back inside.
Well, I mean, he's young too. He's only like 21 or 22, so he's got another inch or two in him too.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a good option, just a little more raw, and that's... I don't want to say he's like a mini Aaron Donald, but he kind of, coming from Pitt, it's kind of easy to make that connection as much as I don't want to make that connection. Because he also has that athleticism
We
that
know how much
AD
you
had.
love Aaron Donald.
I don't mind him. I just...
You used to rag on that man all the time.
Yeah, because he fucked up the Saints every year.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but I don't rag on him anymore.
All right. So let's move on to our last team in the AFC or the NFC North. Jesus Christ. The Vikings. What do you got for their
secondary help?
Yeah, that's what I have. I just remember the one thing that I took into consideration when I was looking at the Vikings. Nothing else. Just that Thanksgiving game.
Yeah,
Dude, it was a shootout.
Because I mean, they have an aging secondary. They have Harrison Smith, who's like 32 years old right now. Patrick Peterson was on a 1-year deal. He's not washed up, but he's not your number 2.
I highly doubt he gets picked up by anyone. I think he's done.
And I mean, I can't name anybody else off that secondary unit right now. I mean, I would assume they're probably the bottom half of the passing defense too. I mean,
they are. They're like 26th.
Yeah. So, see, that's an issue right there. I mean, you're in a division where there are decent weapons. You're going to be playing the Lions twice a year. You're going to be playing the Bears, who have Darnell Mooney. If they get a wide receiver, you're going to have guys you got to compete against.
Mooney and Robinson.
Yeah, Allen Robinson, right? He's on.
He's a tank. Dude.
Yeah, see, you're going to need secondary help, and I believe I even have a corner mock to them. I don't remember who, but I'm damn sure I had a corner mock to them.
So I actually have them picking up Jalen Ramsey.
Ooh. I mean, if he wants to go there, because I mean they're a competitor, and they have the money to do it. I mean, Jalen, go ham, bud.
As of right now, when I'm looking at it, the Vikings are still a playoff team.
Yeah.
Like I still have them in the playoffs next year because the NFC is dog water.
I don't think it will be dog water next season. At this point, I think it's going to be a really competitive. Not like NFC West competitive, but it's going to be a more competitive. Maybe like an AFC East where it's like you have like 2 teams that can make the playoffs, and then you have those guys who are like, they shouldn't, but they're doing good for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think this next year, the 2 closest divisions, the AFC is going to be the North. Yeah. I think that's going to be incredibly tight. Like, I don't think there's going to be a single team under 500 in that division. And the NFC South.
Just because the South is dog water. That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
You're going to laugh. Let's just talk about the NFC South.
Yeah, since we're already there, let's go.
Every single team, their most important position to fill, I have is quarterback.
All right, let me think that through really quick.
Falcons?
No, they have Desmond Ridder, depending on how they feel about him. Because I think I have a quarterback mocked to them already. I think I have C.J. Stroud mocked to them. Damn. I'm pretty sure I have him.
I'm pretty sure you do too.
Alright, quarterback. Panthers need a quarterback. I agree with that. The Saints
need a quarterback.
They need a quarterback, but how I see it is that they're going to wait until the following year to get a quarterback, build up, because I mean, Ryan Ramczyk at offensive line is going to be 29. I mean, if they find a tackle that they like at the back end of the first, they can grab somebody there. They might even want to have to add a wide receiver. I mean, even running back, because Alvin Kamara fucking beat a dude's face in last year during the Pro Bowl, and he's probably going to go to jail or some shit at this point.
Good.
So, I mean, quarterback is a little harder for the Saints, in my opinion, to speak of, just because there's a good amount of holes that they want to probably fill before quarterback, especially with next year coming up. It's hard for me to look at quarterback as the biggest need this year.
So I looked at the NFC South quarterback situation very intensely during my research. You're going to love what I have for the quarterback movements.
We got the Bucks, and then we can get into that.
Well, it all ties because I'm
all
going to
right,
talk about the
tell
Bucks.
me about it then.
Jameis Winston goes to the Bucks.
I would love to watch that. I would love to watch that.
I just
Teddy
want
Bridgewater comes back to New Orleans then.
I do see Teddy going back to New Orleans. That's what I have. I have Teddy B going back to New Orleans, Andy D as his backup, and New Orleans just trying to coast through this year. Because next season you guys will have a lot more cap space.
We'll have probably a little more cap. I believe we'll have our first round pick next year. So if we do bad, fuck it, we can get whoever we want at that point.
Yeah. I have Jameis Winston going to the Bucks, Sam Darnold going to the Falcons, and shit. Yeah, that's what I had.
I agree with the Bucks.
Oh no,
and
Desmond
Saints.
Ridder goes to the Saints, or to the Panthers as a backup.
All right, I agree with 2 out of the 4 of those. Jameis Winston back to the Bucks. I can see that, sure.
Yeah.
Teddy B to New Orleans, I can definitely see that happening because he has history with us. The Falcons and Panthers, I believe, will bring in new quarterbacks from the draft, and C.J. Stroud and Richardson, Anthony Richardson, how it looks right now. So you'll have 2 established quarterbacks, quote unquote, and 2 rookies, and you're just going to see what shit show comes out of that division.
Desmond Ridder is not an established quarterback.
Oh, I was talking about fucking Teddy B and Jameis.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because Desmond Ridder or C.J. Stroud, I would rather have C.J. Stroud. I like him more. I think he's more talented.
I think he's better under pressure.
I think he's better under pressure. I think he's a better overall ceiling quarterback.
Yeah.
His floor. He has a really high floor, but his ceiling might not be as high just because he has athleticism, but he doesn't use his legs, so you don't really have that running portion. His processor is good. He has a decent arm, but great accuracy.
One of his game against is it Michigan this year? He went 31 for 38 in one of his games.
He's an excellent passer. But then how you'd like to talk about Ohio State's offense? How much is it the offensive scheme itself?
Oh, it's all offensive scheme.
But
the offensive scheme in Ohio State.
But you can't deny the accuracy that he has in the processor and know where to throw. So C.J. Stroud, high floor, lower ceiling in my opinion, but would do great in Atlanta.
Yeah, I still have Desmond Ridder going to the Saints as a backup.
I saw Trey Lance might come.
I told you last week, and you were like, "No."
But as a backup,
dude,
probably like Teddy B, bro. He's gonna be like, "Let me just."
Why would you? No, if you're bringing Trey Lance, you gotta go all in on that.
But if we're bringing Trey Lance in, just let Taysom play quarterback at this point. Just power run, play action, power run again.
You guys should have been playing Taysom as quarterback, but no. All right. Which division, West or East?
Let's go with the shit show NFC East as well.
Okay.
Cowboys. Who do you think Cowboys need to focus on position?
Cornerback.
I think corner is actually one of their stronger positions.
Well, they have Trayvon Diggs. I don't know anyone else in their secondary.
I know Anthony Brown. I think Anthony Brown, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure his deal's up.
Okay. Who would? I mean,
because the only returning one that I saw, and I only glanced at it really quickly, was Trayvon Diggs.
All right, so we know they don't need an offense. Offense is out the picture. I mean, they got weapons. O-line's good, not great. Maybe they could add depth there. Quarterback, I don't like Dak Prescott, so I'm going to say it's okay quarterback play. I mean, maybe even you might be surprised and say maybe look at running back. I mean, because Tony Pollard's leaving, and Zeke is not Zeke that we had in 2016, 2017.
I think they trade Zeke this year and they try to re-sign Tony.
I would be very happy to see that, but Jerry Jones loves his players, and if he vouches for you, you're being on the team. So, I feel like he loves Zeke way too much.
I mean, Jerry Jones. Did you watch the Hall of Fame induction?
I did not.
I did. I didn't watch it live. But I watched it, and fuck Jerry Jones. Who do you have for the Commanders?
I would want to say quarterback. Boy, that's probably not really obtainable this year. So, they'll probably end up looking at like edge or defensive line, because you are losing DeAndre Payne, and you're not going to be able to resign him.
Deron Payne?
Deron, yeah, whatever the fuck.
No, I don't think so. He still has a year on his contract. Or is he a free agent?
He is a free agent.
I think they're going to franchise tag him.
If they franchise tag him, then you move on to your next position, which would probably be secondary help or like a linebacker.
I have him as like an inside offensive line or cornerback.
Corner, I would go with.
That is assuming that they decide to stick with Carson Wentz. First things first. I think Carson needs to leave. I think Ron Rivera's been smoking too much crack after his cancer stint, and yeah, I think Carson Wentz needs to get out of there.
I believe he actually isn't. I think he's a free agent this year, if I'm actually correct. I believe it's Sam Howell and Tyler Heineke are going to be the QB options this year.
Sam Howell and yeah.
And I mean, let Sam Howell hand him the keys. He looked like shit the last 2 weeks of the season.
Hand him the keys. Get a good quarterback next season.
I see. I like how you think now. Get yourself a QB next year, boy.
Yeah, honestly, just offensive line, like, they could be really good if they have an offensive line. And we saw it this year. We saw them do pretty decent. They had a good start to the season. So
yeah, I mean, all that's really relied on the back of the defense. So
really?
So, yeah, I mean, offensive line help, I mean, because whoever you have at quarterback's they're not a top-tier quarterback, so give them help, because you got weapons. You have weapons galore at this point.
Where's Cam Newton playing?
He doesn't play.
He's out?
Yeah, he's
Shit. Out. I thought he got picked up by someone. I knew he was on the Panthers squad last.
Yeah, I think. Because for some reason, I have a game of him playing against Arizona when he got signed the second time back from the Panthers, and they just ran a fucking quarterback power, and they're like, Cam's like, I'm back! And you're like, no, you're not, bud.
Dude, but he was looking jacked.
Yeah, because he's a fucking fullback, tight end, and a quarterback body.
All right. So, we got Commanders and Cowboys down. Giants.
I actually think I have a wide receiver mock to them.
They need one.
Because, like, they have Wan'Dale Robinson.
Who?
And Wan'Dale Robinson.
Who?
You don't know?
No, I know who it is, but I'm saying who on purpose.
Oh,
Jesus
you
Lord.
about to have me fucking flip shit on you. And Darius Slay. But neither one of those are, like, true number one wide receivers.
I think Darius Slay could be a true.
Could be. But it doesn't hurt to add another wide receiver.
No.
Jordan Addison, that's the USC wide receiver. I have Jordan Addison mock
to
the
them. Giants?
Yeah.
So, personally, they need a linebacker.
Yeah. I mean, linebacker works. I mean, there wasn't great linebacker play. Yeah. That's really all that I know their linebacker play wasn't great. There was some times that they hit on it, but yeah, linebacker would work.
They gave up a lot of running yards because their guards were getting out to that second level and blocking the fuck out of those linebackers.
So do you think that's more of a defensive line issue, not being able to, contain them, and let the linebackers run freer.
I think that's part of it, but at the same time, those linebackers, whenever any of them dropped into coverage, looked awful. I really think you need a linebacker who can also line up on the edge. Someone like Will Anderson who can kind of do it both.
Yeah.
And I think Will Anderson would be a perfect fit for them.
Only if they could get that far down in the draft. Because they could get...
They're, 14, right?
24.
They're 24?
I believe they are 24.
Then it must be like a trade or a swap thing.
I mean, they could, but they would have to give up a lot to move up.
Yeah.
And there would be no value at that point. But if you're saying they need to look for a coverage, all-around type of linebacker, this class isn't horrible at it, but each player has a really good strength, like Trent Simpson out of Clemson.
Isn't he the one that plays safety and
like
linebacker?
Safety, linebacker, slot. Like, if you're looking like that, that's going to be a really good option because he has the speed, the versatility to play anywhere, but you're not really going to get a lot of that pass rushing, blitzing ability out of him, at least at this point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
You could look at like an Ivan Pace out of Cincinnati. He actually, I think he led the college football in or Power 5 in sacks at the linebacker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
I think that's that, but he was also like the most blitzed linebacker in the nation. So he blitzed like he did not give a fuck. So he's a really good rusher. You could look at Drew Sanders out of Arkansas, who might be a really good like second, third round option for the Giants because he gives a little bit of that pass coverage ability when he played at Alabama. Then when he transferred to Arkansas, he was more of that pass rushing, blitzing linebacker.
Yeah.
So Drew Sanders might be a really good option, and he could probably fall to the second or third round. So they could still, end up being a weapon or beef up that defensive line in that first round.
Absolutely. So that brings us to our last team in the East. Who do you got for the Eagles?
Corner. They're going to want to go get corner, and then after that, it's probably going to be an offensive line booster or safety would be my three ideas. In my mock draft, I'm not going to give you it, but I have them drafting a couple of those positions.
If you guys do want to see a deep mock draft, it will be up on our Patreon, so you guys can go check that out at the Double Down Network Patreon. We'll have all of our full mock drafts posted up there, and we'll be posting partials on the blog for you guys. Courtesy of Nate, because I can't keep up with drafts that well.
Yeah, I hope y'all like it. It took me a minute to write, though.
I mean, I was looking through it. It looks really good.
Yeah, there's some points in time that my brain would just stop working, and I would only have 3 sentences. I'm just like, okay.
It's a mock draft,
yeah,
dude.
there's one that I'm just like, they need help here. That's all I gotta say to it. Or for one of the teams, because it was they were god-awful in this. And but y'all... We'll get some good statistics also, so I hope you guys enjoy that. If you guys check it out. Support me.
Yes, go ahead, check that out. Give us your money, please. We need it.
I do. I please. My job is please. It's not working.
Yeah, we're trying to make money doing something fun now. All right, so let's move on to the final part of this episode. Let's talk about the NFC West.
Niners.
Yeah.
They're good, just anything would help at this point, really.
If they don't franchise tag Daron Payne, I think they try to sign him.
They should. They should sign him.
And I think they have the cap space for it, but just barely. They sign him to a 2-year deal.
They could do that, or they could beef up corner, but I don't believe this corner class is all that good, or at least free agency-wise, and they don't have a first-round pick, so... Drafting becomes a little harder for them, but they're just really good overall. There's maybe offensive line might be an issue because Trent Williams, he's getting really up there in age. He's probably 30, mid-30s. I want to say, and that's old for an offensive lineman at this point. So maybe they look at getting a tackle just so they can protect Brock Purdy or Trey Lance.
Yeah, I definitely see them going for either they're going to draft for offensive line or they're going to draft for defense. It's one or the other. I heard Jimmy Brown's not coming back. Or Jimmy Ward.
Jimmy Ward. Was that safety? Is he
Yeah.
safety?
Number 7 safety. He's a baller, too.
The safety class is not bad draft-wise. There's some higher-end guys there. So if they're looking for like a Jimmy Ward replacement, could always go there. Free agency is a little lackluster. I mean, you got like Chauncey Gardner from the Eagles, but he's more of a box safety.
You also have James Bradbury from the Eagle. Or, no, he's a corner.
I mean, if they want corner help, I mean, yeah. Chauncey would be...
Jordan Poyer's going to free agency, too.
See, I feel like if they're... for Jimmy Ward, he's like that... God damn.
In through your nose, out through your mouth. Do I really need to teach you how to breathe on air?
Oh, God, fuck you. Jimmy Ward is like a really good in-between safety in the box as well as playing like that middle third of the field. Jordan Poyer would be the best option there, but he does have that injury history to go along with that. So I don't know if you would want to sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal. You know, show us what you can do, stay healthy, we can sign you again. As well as Chauncey might even be a really good option just because they'll be like, hey, play in the box, be slot, blitz, play the run, have fun. So Chauncey might be a good option if they want to look to try to replace him with a better player, in my opinion.
All right, you guys ready for my last hot take of the episode?
Hit me with it.
Rams need a new quarterback.
Yeah, they don't... Oh. Yeah, I mean...
It is a hot take because Matthew Stafford's still on the squad.
Yeah, but we don't know how he's going to play either.
Yeah,
I mean,
not at all.
I believe, he had a neck injury that he had to leave.
He was out like this entire season almost.
Yeah, so, I mean...
And he's old.
He's old, but quarterbacks can play into their fucking 40s, as we've seen, Tom.
But we saw that their offensive line has been completely dismantled.
So would you rather answer to fixing the offensive line in comparison to replacing your quarterback that you traded fucking 2-3 first-round picks for?
Well, this is Matthew Stafford's last year on contract with them. So the way that I look at it is Cooper Kupp is getting up there in age as well.
Yeah.
Cam Akers did not pan out very well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Baker Mayfield as your quarterback. You could give him the role, give him the keys, and trade Stafford away and try to get some of your draft capital back. And I would go for that instead because you could get one more year with Matthew Stafford. But even with Stafford this year, the Rams aren't going to be Super Bowl contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would have to pick up some big picks, and I don't think they have the cap space to really entice Jalen Ramsey to stick around. Aaron Donald's on his last year, too.
Yeah, Aaron Donald actually is, thinking about retirement. You know, at the end of the season, he was like, I might retire.
Yeah, so I mean, it's either they sign Ramsey to a 1-year deal and they try to get some offensive linemen, maybe another offensive weapon, and they try to push and try to get to push for the Super Bowl one more time this year and then go into rebuild. But
yeah, I think you just hit on the biggest point. It's where do they think they are? Do you think they are in that rebuilding phase already, or do they think they have just enough talent that they just have to add one more piece to be that contender again?
So I think personally, if you have your two options, Super Bowl or rebuild.
Yeah.
I think it's worth more to go for a rebuild now because if you don't get to the Super Bowl, if you don't make it, all of your players are going to be pissed as shit at you, and you're going to leave. All of them are going to leave on bad terms.
Yeah.
And that would be 3 major veterans who are all going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they are...
Or maybe even 4. Is Kupp on his last year, too?
He's probably close, but I mean, he's going to play for probably another 5 years.
Yeah, I see him signing another contract, just not with the Rams.
But it's a tough one on the Rams, as we don't know where they want to stand on that rebuilding phase. Because, no team wants to be like, I'm going to rebuild. We're rebuilding. So, I feel like they're going to say, we're going to retool and try to shoot back for the Super Bowl. And they'll probably just go for offensive line help and say, we're going to ride with Stafford and see what we can do. Because, he just last year, or 2 years ago at this point, he was, Super Bowl MVP. He was up for MVP at one point in the season. Like, he's coming off of 2 years off of a great, season. There's no reason to really push him off yet.
Yeah. And, I mean, Matthew Stafford, give him as much hate as you want, but he did good in Detroit when Detroit was dog shit.
Absolutely. He played through a lot of shit there. He deserved that championship. He deserves to at least get another shot at trying to win it and, playing a good quarterback.
I was really glad that he won it, and fuck Joe Burrow. So, let's move on to which one? Seahawks or Cardinals? Which bird?
Cardinals. They need help. Edge rusher, defensive line, right there.
Yeah, they lost J.J. Watt.
And they were, I think, 31st in pressures and sacks.
Oh
in the
my
league.
God.
So, get them an edge threat. They're in the position to do it in the draft. Do it. That's all I can say to you guys on that. They need an edge threat.
So, personally, Kyler Murray's played, 2 full seasons now?
2 or 3, yeah.
His first season, he didn't play the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, because I think he came in later. But if you're looking at offensive line, that would be a good option, but their edge is still the biggest need because they're losing J.J. Watt as well as the other... I don't give a fuck about
131 sacks.
I don't give a fuck.
He's been sacked 131 times already.
I don't give a fuck.
I think the Cardinals need an offensive line. They need, but only if they truly believe in Kyler. If they really believe in Kyler, then yeah, get an offensive line. They have D-Hop. D-Hop's
leaving. He's gonna leave. Eventually, he's gonna leave.
I think he might actually stay this season.
They have it's Choice Anderson now. He changed his name.
Choice Anderson?
Yeah, it's instead of Robbie or Roby or whatever his fucking name was.
They have Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, it's Chosen. I think it's Chosen Anderson now.
Oh my God. God complex much?
Then there's Rondell Moore, I think.
Yeah.
Like, they have weapons per se, but not wide receivers.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, D-Hop now in his career is a wide receiver too.
If that, 2 or 3. He's an AJ Green, Andre Johnson at this point.
Yeah, he's like a Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah, like, he's okay. He's nice to have. But you brought up the valid point that Kyler is getting sacked way more than he should, especially for his frame.
And for his mobility.
As well as coming off an ACL injury. That would be a great option to look at offensive line. But defense wins championships. Go get you a player who can rush the pass.
Who do they have as their backup quarterbacks? Kyle Allen and
Colt
McCoy?
It don't matter. I would start Colt McCoy over Kyler Murray. If you gave me enough drinks, I would do it.
You're a fucking sacrilegious fuck. I hate Colt McCoy.
You know what? Hate me all you want.
I'm a Browns fan. I fucking hate that motherfucker. So that brings us to our final team we're going to be discussing on today's podcast. And it's the Seahawks.
Their offensive line.
Yeah?
That or defensive line.
Cornerback.
I think they're pretty solid at corner, actually. Maybe get somebody opposite of Wollenson or...
TJ Wollenson?
Yeah, whatever his name is. The 6'3" fucking freak athlete.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get a corner, I'm not mad at it. But how you get a corner, I would be mad at. Because in their position in the draft, I don't know if I would go for a corner just yet at 5. Maybe if there's a good one in free agency, I would think about it.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then, if they do address that corner issue, they can always go back, grab a defensive lineman. Because they struggle getting pressure on a quarterback. And maybe even get offensive line help Because if they believe in Geno, who's only going to be 32 at this point, comeback player of the year, get him some protection. You got weapons. Get a little bit better on the defense, a little bit better on the offense. You guys have a contender. You might not be able to compete with the Niners this year, but, a year or two development, you'll be able to do it.
So I think that's all we have for this one. Before we go, I'd just like to give a quick PSA. The format of this show is changing officially. We have decided to start putting out more content for you guys in shorter form, so it's a little bit easier for you guys to get. We will be releasing episodes when? Do you remember, or do I need to tell them?
Yeah, you're going to have to tell them.
So we'll have an episode coming out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And it'll still be all about football and every good thing. You guys will also be getting a monthly bonus video podcast, on the Patreon if you decide to join, which will be a monthly recap of everything that's going on in the NBA. And towards playoff time, I'll start posting more and more on that NBA stuff. So please go over to the Double Down Network Patreon page, sign up for it, and get all this great bonus content that will be coming soon. With that being said, we'll see you next week when we do, or in 2 days.
Yeah, y'all are going to hear us in 2 days about the AFC team needs.
And with that, we'll see you later.